There was this guy walking down the street, and as he was walking down the street, he notices some crowd near the street corner. So he passes the crowd and he keeps wondering, why are these people standing here? What's the reason behind the crowd? But since getting late for an appointment, he continues walking. And a few minutes later, he decides he should take a U-turn, come back and see what's happening. Because, as human beings, it's very difficult, especially as Indians, to ignore a crowd, right? We're very curious. We like to see what's happening. And that's how crowds really get built. So he takes a U-turn, comes back. And when he reaches this situation, it's a pretty large crowd. He doesn't know what's happening. So he squeezes his way into the epicenter. And when he reaches the center, he notices that there is a 3-storied building and the building is on fire. There's smoke coming out and people are panicking. Some are calling the fire brigade. Some are trying to call the police, etc. And this guy is pretty shocked. He's looking at the situation. And suddenly, he notices that on the 3rd floor, there's a window that is open, there's smoke pouring out, a human hand is waving in desperation. So obviously he gets very worried, goes closer to the building and looks up, and when he looks at this window, he's horrified to see that there is a lady holding on to a small baby, and she's screaming, "Save my baby, help my baby." So instinctively, this guy looks at this lady and says, "Throw your baby, I'll catch your baby." And the moment he says this, a few people from the crowd around him, they say, "Hey, excuse me, you're a crazy guy. What are you saying? Throw the baby?" So he ignores everybody. He says, "Please, lady, throw your baby. I'll catch your baby." And by now, there are more people. They're telling him you're crazy. Some are ready to punch him, and there's no time. So he looks at this crowd, angry crowd, and he says, "Guys, just shut up. I'm a professional football goalkeeper. I can do this." And they're pretty zapped. They say, "Looks like a crazy guy." They say, "Okay, do whatever you want to do." And the mother is desperate. And she takes the baby out, a silent prayer, and decides to release the baby from the 3rd floor. So you can imagine the baby is coming down, and this guy is getting ready for the most important catch of his life, save of his life. There's tension in the air, people are sweating, some people don't want to see what's happening. And finally, he receives the baby perfectly into his arm, takes it down very smoothly, throws the baby in the air and kicks it 20 yards. So I thought I'll get something going. So my friends, good afternoon now. Okay. So my question to you really is, why do you think he kicked the baby? Reflex, muscle memory, habit. And I thought hardcore managers and engineers and whatever businessmen like you will say, the reason why he kicked the baby is if he was following an SOP, standard operating procedure. Right? So, my friends, I don't have the luxury of a lot of time, but I just want to very quickly, establish the first point. I'm going to take this word called habit, H-A-B-I-T, and I want to tell you that when you talk of Kaizen, lean, operational excellence, parivartan, sudhar, change, transformation, whatever big management terms you want to use, nothing will change in this world if our habits don't change. Yes or no? If what we do on a day-to-day basis, on a shift-to-shift basis, hour-to-hour basis, if our habits don't change, forget it. Nothing is going to change. Swachh Bharat is a fantastic, program, very important for our country. But you know it, I know it as an Indian. Swachh Bharat is not going to become a reality if my habits and your habits on a day-to-day basis change, right? If you keep chucking things without thinking, nothing is going to change. It will remain a slogan. So the first thing I want to tell you, establish very quickly, is this journey from our current habits to better habits. This journey, this search of finding a better habit is called Kaizen. It's a very popular word, I'm sure. Show of hands, how many of you know about Kaizen? A lot of people, and that's the problem. So a lot of people think, "Oh, I know Kaizen. Can you tell me something new, some Daizen or Maizen or something, new version?" So people don't want to do old things well, they want to do new things bad. Okay. So Kaizen is a very popular term, and I represent the Kaizen Institute, which was established by my chairman, Masaki Imai. He's 84 years old, based in Tokyo, and the Kaizen Institute operates in about 50 countries worldwide. And we established the Kaizen India operations about 20 years ago, exactly 20 years ago. We are not experts in gems and jewelry. We work with clients who make jewelry, but we work with all kinds of organizations because the process of Kaizen, the process of improvement is applicable to everybody. So, the first thing I want to establish is the journey from current habits to better habits is Kaizen. And I'm going to spend a few seconds, a few minutes on habits because it's so important to this journey. Everybody in this room, do we have habits? Yes. Right? Are we born with habits? No. We pick up habits. We keep dropping bad habits, trying to pick good habits. Especially just a week ago, the 31st December night is a very important night. I mean, that's the night after a couple of, a lot of, what do you say? Resolutions are made, and normally by the 25th of Feb or something, it starts dwindling, right? Whole of January it remains inspiring. But anyway, so habits, all of us have habits. And ever thought about how many kinds of habits exist in this world? How many types of habits?
As many as men are and women are there.
As many. Somebody said 2. Who's that? Who's that odd man? Precisely. There are only, if you think about it, there are only 2 kinds of habits, good habits and bad habits. Habits that work for you, habits that don't work for you. Now, if I move away from personal habits and quickly come to organizations, okay? Do you think organizations have habits? Absolutely. Absolutely. Even organizations have habits, and organizational habits also come in 2 varieties, good and bad. Okay? And I'm going to pause here and ask you a question. What is the definition of a habit? How do you define a habit, since you all agree with me? Any attempt? Very simple, nothing complex. What's a habit? Something that we repeat time and again becomes a habit, but what is a habit? That's my question. That's the way to make a habit. There's a 40 by 100 principle. There's so many principles to form habits. 21 day, 10,000 cycles, Michael Gladwell, a lot of things. But anyway, bingo! Did you hear him? He said something that we do effortlessly is called a habit. My friends, whenever you do something, there are 2 kinds of efforts. There's a mental effort and a physical effort. When you start driving a car, learning to drive a car, there is both mental and physical. You need to press the clutch, turn the wheel, and there's a lot of mental effort. You're looking for the gear, and that's when the tree comes in front of you, right? But as you practice, what happens? The physical effort remains. You still need to steer the car, but slowly the mental effort goes away. It becomes part of your DNA, and lo and behold, you can still drive the car, and now you can text while driving. And the bloody tree still comes in front of you. Right? So my friends, habit is something that we do effortlessly. And the desperate need in India for all of us in any industry is how do you build skills and practices which come to us effortlessly? Because with effort, with a banduk, with a gun on your temple, you can't run a business constantly where you're reminding people and whipping people to do something. So the success of great organizations is you build it into the DNA, and that's what I'm going to be touching and talking about, and that's our effort. Is it okay? Right? So, now if I just move forward, another point I wanted to share with you is that essentially Kaizen operational excellence, whatever you call it, you can call it the the Toyota calls it the Toyota way, Siemens calls it the Siemens production system, whatever you want to call it. It's a culture, and culture means a bunch of habits. Group behavior is culture. And any time I meet CEOs, if I ask them, what do you want to change? They'll say, you know what, I really want to change the culture of this company. And as Indians, all of us understand what is agriculture, right? But what is organizational culture? How do you change it? The first thing is, culture is nothing but group behavior, my friends. When all of us believe and behave in a particular way, our beliefs are, driving certain behaviors, it's common to us, it's called culture. For example, if you go to north, east, west, south, India has so many cultures, but probably namaste is common to all of us. Right? It comes to us naturally. Or I keep saying, when I meet somebody who's elder to, you meet somebody elder to you. Suppose, like I just met him. Your first name is Shishir? No, I'm not going to call him Shishir. right? It doesn't come to us. We'll say Shishir Bhai or, Shishir Anna or Shishir Dada or whatever you have, right? But we will not call by first name. That's sort of common to us. It's in our blood, and that is what is culture. So the real focus of change is how do you build things into your DNA, and that is what we call as the Kaizen culture. So I have to tell you that Kaizen is not a project or a number. A lot of people think it's a project, and this comes, I'm sorry to say, from this typical Six Sigma kind of thinking. Green belt, black belt, super black belt, very heavy belt, right? All these things are not going to last because all these belt creates exclusiveness. Change comes through inclusiveness. You have to include people, not create, I'm a master black belt, don't talk to me. Right? That's not what we want when you're talking of change. So, it's not a project. So a lot of people ask me, how many Kaizens should we do in a year? Or somewhere they Google and somebody reads that, in Toyota or some X company in Danaher or whatever, there are 4 improvements or 4 Kaizen each workman does per month, or 5 or 10, some number. And suddenly a memo is released that, from next month everybody should give 5 improvements per month per person. It's part of your PMS. So what happens on the 28th of the month? People are going around, ek Kaizen milega kya? I'm falling short, 3 hai, ek kam pad raha hai. Beer pilaunga, get me one. I'll give you one next month. Don't reduce this to some kind of a joke. So it's not a number or a project, because projects have start and beginning. The meaning of Kaizen is continual improvement. There's no end to improvement. And if you don't understand this, then there is a big challenge. So Masaki Imai, our chairman, I don't have the time to go in, but if you ask him what is a Kaizen culture, if you go into an organization, how do you know that this company has elements of a good culture based on Kaizen philosophy? He gives you 3 requirements. One, he says improvement should happen, problem solving should be learned and implemented every day, everyone, and everywhere. 3 requirements. So it should be every day, because why do we call it continual improvement? Because our problems are also continual, yes or no? Do we get problems only once in a year? Our challenges are daily. If your challenges are daily, your response of improvement or problem solving should also be daily. Yeah, you cannot have problems coming every day, improvements happening only on Saturdays. It doesn't work that way, my friends. Yeah, it's very simple. So you have to respond on a daily basis. Right? So daily, remember this word, I'm going to be talking about daily, because what you are or what you are not depends on what you do daily, not what you do on Sundays. Right? We'll come to that. Okay, so every day, everybody, top man to bottom man, in all kinds of levels, including contract. That's just a legal requirement, but if you are in the company, you should be part of that method of working. And finally, everywhere. This is what we call as a good culture, where you need to reach. But I always keep saying, what is the reality? What is the reality in most companies? It is someday, somebody, and somewhere doing improvements. Do you agree? Yeah? It is someday. Which day? A lot of companies say we do 5S on Saturdays. It's like saying that I brush my teeth on Saturdays because I have a lot of time. Or some people, if you do talk of TPM or whatever, or they'll, it's someday. It is somebody who does these improvements. Oh sir, this guy Atul has just joined. He's very, very enthusiastic. Why? He's a new guy. Give him 6 months. Then he'll become part of us. New people are enthusiastic. So it is somebody. Some people here and there, and it is somewhere. Now this is very important. Somewhere. Where do you do this improvement, Kaizen, excellent? Oh, we do it in the manufacturing section. Really? It's like going to a gym and exercising only your right arm. This will become like Arnold Schwarzenegger or Shah Rukh Khan. What about the rest of the body? Right? So when you look at these Japanese methodologies, which have a starting word called total quality, total productive maintenance, etc. What do you mean by this total? It means sampurna, completely. You cannot just do it in one department. Manufacturing is not the only business, right? Manufacturing has procurement. You have design, buy, make, sell and distribute. That's a minimum value chain most companies have. And if you go and just do excellence in manufacturing, it's going to be really suboptimal. So we always say, look at how to apply this Kaizen principles, this way of thinking in design. How do you reduce what we call as TTM, time to market? A lot of companies are working on reducing the time to market, crunching the designing and development time. There are methods for it called lean project management, innovation and design management. It's called lean, development. Okay. Then procurement. There's a huge potential to procure on time, in full, error free. Then comes manufacturing. Of course, classical place where you implement in manufacturing. And finally, if you have distribution, retail, again, a lot of money blocked in that part of the value chain, you can unleash also with a lot of benefits in this. So please look at improving the whole and not the bits. Definitely not just the manufacturing bit. And then you have to pull in the support services, HR, IT, finance, as if they have nothing to do with improvement. A lot of times manufacturing may be wonderful, procurement may be your pain point. You got to really focus where the shoe is pinching. So every day, everybody, everywhere becomes someday, someone, somewhere. But just imagine there are thousands of companies in India where the story is no day, nobody, and nowhere improvements are happening. Right? Thousands of companies, people come at 5, come at 9, leave at 5, and there's no focus on improvement. So this journey from no to some to every, that's the journey of continual improvement. Are we together? Making sense. So quickly moving forward, why do we have to engage in some kind of a culture, building this culture of operational excellence? Why? So the first thing is, I think all of us in this room have one thing in common. We are all businesses. We are here to make money, create wealth, create value, give good products to customers. So any businessman wants to excel. So we call it business excellence. And what does business excellence require? Two things. One is you need good, what we call a strategic excellence. So you need to have good plans, good strategy. What to make, what kind of product, what product mix, where to sell, what price points. You need a strategy. But apart from strategy, what we need is what we call as operational excellence, and that's our focus area, right? Because if you see, there are a lot of companies who have great strategies, but when it comes to operations or execution, what happens? You're not on time, not in full, error-free, not error-free. So the focus of operational excellence is to convert your strategy into reality and following 3 principles. We call it OTIFEF. Execution has to be on time, it has to be in full, and it has to be error-free. And when I say error, I'm not just talking of product error, I'm talking of even transactional errors, wrong invoice. Sometimes some horrendous situation, shipped to the wrong client, right? Documents missing, so demurrages, it gets stuck in the customs or something. It happens, right? So what we need is a combination of both. And you will see that there are some companies or within individuals, there are some friends of yours who are very good in thinking. I'm going to become the Prime Minister for sure. I have a great strategy for it. What's the problem? They don't wake up before 11 a.m. And you'll have some friends who are very, very hardworking, very focused, operationally, busy, but just going down the wrong path. They don't know why they're going, where they're going. So success needs both. You need strategy, you need operational excellence. But I think our focus is not so much on strategy, although we talk about Hoshin country, we come to it. But the first thing we should build is your ability to deliver on time, in full, error-free. Okay? And whatever be the strategy, you should learn how to execute correctly. And I don't know whether you will agree, the crisis, the drought in India is we are very bad as a country when it comes to execution. Yes or no? Do you agree? We have very fertile minds. We can think. When Kaizen Institute, we operate in about 50 countries. And when we have these annual meets, the Kaizen Institute India team, if you're doing some brainstorming, we will